The Soviet Union had launched Sputnik, the first successful space satellite. Sony had introduced the transistor radio, and Elvis Presley's career was in high gear. With the money from his record sales, he bought Graceland, a southern colonial mansion built in 1939 and named after the previous owner's great-aunt Grace. Elvis immediately invited his parents, his beloved grandmother, Minnie Mae Presley, his Aunt Delta, Aunt Nash, Uncle Vester, Uncle Earl, and some of his close friends to move in with him.
Going to keep Graceland? Do you have plans of moving away from Memphis, or what?
No, sir, I have no plans for leaving Memphis.
And you're going to keep Graceland?
I'm going to keep Graceland as long as I possibly can.
From then on, Graceland was his lifelong sanctuary, where he could be surrounded and protected by those who were most devoted to him.
Well, when Elvis bought Graceland in '57, I was just starting into high school, and sometimes after our football games, he would invite me up to have a party, have people come up, friends or whatever. It was pretty much the same group of people, but that was the end thing in Memphis. The thing was, are you going out to the house tonight? Everybody knew what the house was. It was Graceland.
The Presley family was practical jokers. There were many occasions when Uncle Vester would come up to the front gate and he would be pulling something on like Aunt Delta in the house. There was always something comical going on or something like that. Elvis, he had a minor bird, and some of the guys had taught it to say certain things, you know, and it talked quite well. And one night Elvis walked in the back door, and when he did, something said, "Turn those lights off." And Elvis just froze, you know, like that, and turned the lights off. And then it said, "Get out and go to the devil," which someone had taught it to say, and he realized then it was the bird, and he just fell on the floor laughing.
When he laughed, Elvis laughed all over the floor. I mean, he'd fall down on the floor laughing, and he enjoyed having a good time. That was the best.
It was a great atmosphere around Graceland. It was a family type atmosphere. Even the people that worked with Elvis, it was like family.
He loved having Graceland.
Yeah, Graceland was his favorite retreat.
It was his favorite retreat.
He'd go upstairs and he'd stay upstairs 2 or 3 weeks at a time. And Elvis had cameras all over the house where he could see where everybody was. Monitored. He would sit up here at the stage and he'd
watch to see what everybody was doing.
For those who lived with Elvis, life was trouble-free.
Elvis was kind of like a big mother hen. I mean, you know, it never rained on you. It never got you never got cold. You never got hungry. And you know, you would retreat behind the gates of Graceland and nobody could get to you.
During the time Elvis was settling into Graceland, he was also launching his movie career.
Elvis's dream was to be a dramatic actor. You know, as a child, he loved movies. His dad, Vernon, took him, his very first movie he saw was Abbott Costello Meets Frankenstein. Gladys probably wouldn't approve of that, but Vernon took him, and I think Elvis kind of got the bug there.
In 1956, Elvis signed a 7-year, 3-movie contract with Paramount Studios. However, he was immediately loaned out to Fox Studios to begin filming Love Me Tender, a Civil War Western about family conflicts.
Tell me you are mine. Out of the great Southwest comes the sensational adventure of the notorious Reno brothers and the girl they fought over. Introducing Elvis Presley as Clint Reno, who loved his brother, but also loved his brother's girl.
I know you and Kathy used to be kind of fond of each other, but well, you ain't got no hard feelings against either one of us now, have you?
I think Elvis really had a great potential, especially in his very early career. When he did his screen test, he did a scene from The Rainmaker, which impressed Hal Wallace and caused him to sign Elvis to a contract for Love Me Tender. His movies Jailhouse Rock and King Creole, I think, clearly showed that Elvis had an acting ability.
Out of a desire to prove he could act, Elvis did not want to sing in his movies.
In fact, in a radio interview in 1956, after he had done his screen test, the interviewer said, "Are you going to sing in your movies?" And Elvis said, quote, "No, I really don't care to sing in my movies. I just did a screen test with Burt Lancaster for The Rainmaker, and I'm going to be a serious actor."
When Elvis's manager, Colonel Parker, and the film producers insisted that his movie fans expected him to sing, Elvis reluctantly complied.
Oh, let me, honey, let me
Elvis really was that pleased about singing in movies. I think that was Colonel's idea.
His first 3 movies were box office hits, only adding to his skyrocketing popularity. Ironically, Elvis's fame took a heavy toll on his mother, Gladys.
Gladys was a terrible worrier about Elvis, but she was also a worrier about life, and the hard life that she lived, it was really an appropriate response for her. She saw the world as a hostile environment, and she saw her son thrust into a world that she could barely even imagine, and she was terribly frightened every time he took a trip, every time he went on an airplane. When he died in the movies, she cried uncontrollably.
I remember when, Elvis was, younger and the fans were tearing his clothes off and trying to just get a piece of him. It worried her desperately. And she would get very upset and she'd say, oh, they're killing my baby, they're killing my baby. So I think that's probably what it was. It was just the fear of losing Elvis, and she didn't really know how to cope with it. So she turned to drinking.
Gladys Presley's drinking eventually led to her contracting acute hepatitis. By then, Elvis was 23 and had been drafted by the Army, yet he rushed home from advanced training in Texas to be by her side. She died a few days later, on August 14, 1958, at the age of 46. Elvis and his father Vernon were devastated.
After the funeral was over and everyone had gone out of the funeral parlor except Elvis and our quartet, we were still there. I remember he went over to the casket, leaned over, and kissed his mother. He said, Mama, I'd give every dime I have and go back to digging ditches just to have you back.
It's been said that Elvis felt really guilty when Gladys died, but I think it's more one of regret that he wasn't able to give her a better life for longer.
For Elvis, the death of his mother happened when he was faced with the loneliness of being away from home for the first time. He would continue to feel this loss for the rest of his life.